So from here and now, y'all cats know the vibes. Act prime, right? And this is where we go back to the whole Transformers and all that. Act prime. I'm Optimus. I'm not Optimus. I'm Optimus Prime. You know what I mean? Act prime. I ball godly. The rest of y'all slide. You know what I mean? He said what he said. Y'all good over there. That's a pass. As long as y'all over there. That's a pass. As long as y'all over there, y'all good.
Hey yo, can I say something? Let me say something to wrap that one up, right? I need my brother to go do a video and post it on his just an acapella video of you spitting those bars, right? And for whoever listening, share this out to who you know who gonna do this. They need to clip that video and put like an animation to all of it.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Hell yeah. And I'm gonna tell you how ill the synchronicity is, right? The energy is so ill because remember, my first bar, my verses cross analysis to all these characters. I told you, me and Dre, me and Ak are working on the track characters. And then his whole verse is about characters. Right. You know what I mean? So there's so much back and forth between he and I. And again, we never wrote these verses together. The only time we got to hit them is when we put the verses together on the track. And we wasn't able to build on, we wasn't able, yo, you said this, I'm gonna say that. And so when you see the energy already forming, you know what I'm saying, from front to finish, from the first verse to the last verse, disgusting, dude. It's disgusting.
Hey yo, let them know that verses got in place based on who sent it back first. You heard?
Man, pretty much, man. Pretty much.
Now we didn't know the order. Nobody knew the order
like that. You heard me? It fell in place. It wasn't free.
And that's what I was saying before you jumped on. Like my verse just happened to be okay, boys and girls. As we get into the story, let's define the terms we'll be using here. This is SoundMinds. This is our SoundMinds. You know what I mean? Like double. And then when you say I bar golly, the rest of y'all slide. Then Yazzie Divine comes in. As you said, I bar golly, Yazzie Divine, the rest of y'all slide. But then he said, y'all don't know the alphabet, but you still talking.
And then shout out,
like told you, when y'all don't know this, like y'all probably you think it was hot. But we hear Dre said, yo, he just told you like y'all slide, and y'all see like y'all still talking. And you don't know the alphabet. All right, let me y'all don't get to make sure y'all understand. Like y'all don't get like ABC. We just went from A B C D. Now we're gonna go to E to let y'all know what's happening. Like stop talking if you don't know the alphabet.
Killed that verse. Yep. He killed that verse, man. And then on top of that, shout out the hood. You know what I mean? You know, Alphabet City. Right. You know what I'm saying? That's what the Lower East Side is known for.
Victor Wig endorphins.
Yo. He said switching releases, switching positions on. Come on, man. Yo, Yazzie is one of the illest. I'm gonna say it, and not because of anything, man. One of our former guests that we had on the SoundMinds podcast, Shabam Shadiq. I've never heard a bad verse from him. Another dude that I want to say, man, is Yazzie. I have yet to hear, not to say that I heard bad verses from my brothers here, but there's never a verse that I can pick from Yazzie and be like, yeah, he got lazy on me. You know what I'm saying? And to the point where this dude sat there and used the track. It said like this. This dude said I stay fly like this. It said SoundMinds. Come through pissing on the hydrant. We a bunch of dogs, B. We a bunch of dogs,
I've been on the low vibing. SoundMinds define on some fly shit.
Come through pissing on the hydrant.
I've been on the low vibing. SoundMinds define on some.
If you look at that, I've been on the low vibing, right?
Low fly.
Listen. You got like almost quadruple quadra in that one line alone, right? Because I've been on the low. In other words, the Lower East Side. I've been on the low vibing. I've been keeping below the radar, chilling. I'm keeping the low key. I've been on the low vibing, low frequency, not really trying to be high frequency all the time. You know what I mean? So I mean, yo, that one line said a lot to us. Just that one line. You know what I mean? Especially anybody that's from the lower. They know what we call the Lower East Side lower.
When he said you don't know the alphabet, he's still talking. If people didn't understand, like Alphabet City is a main part of the Lower East Side. It's different parts of the Lower East Side. Alphabet
it has a major history.
The Avenue A, Avenue B, Avenue C, Alphabet City, because it got, you know what I'm saying. So he said you don't know the alphabet, but you still talking.
That means you don't know the city.
Right. And it's not even, see, the thing about it dates back to like the 80s, the 70s and 80s with Alphabet City. You know what I mean? Because anybody that knew New York, all right? People talk about Brooklyn. You know what I mean? I got roots in Brooklyn. I got, roots in Manhattan. People talk about Brooklyn. They talk about Harlem. They talk about the Bronx. They talk about Queens. You know, they talk about Staten Island. But what people don't understand is that Lower East Side was the scourge of Manhattan at one point. You know what I mean? It was scourge to the point that police didn't even want to be down there. You know what I mean? The 7th Precinct was under siege. Whenever they went to the Ave. If we went to the Ave, they didn't want to go there. There was so much shit going down on the Ave. They made a movie about it called Alphabet City. You know what I mean? There's a movie called Alphabet City. The Basketball Diaries. All these movies. Right. These places. A lot of people don't understand that Alphabet City and how dangerous it was on the Lower East Side. Like I used to say when growing up, I used to say, yeah, I live in the suburbs of the ghetto. You know what I mean? Because I lived up on the hill. Yo, it was a little quieter. Our beats were coming from the Ave. Like the Ave would come up to see us. We didn't go down to the Ave to see them. They came to see us. You know what I mean? So it's like people don't understand like all the crazy shit they used to go down on the Ave, especially Avenue B. You know what I mean? Avenue B was infamous.
So people don't really understand like the crack epidemic. This is the time where if you understand how the crack epidemic worked in New York City, it would have been very different without the Lower East Side, because also geographically, for people that don't understand, when you talk about these different boroughs, Staten, Manhattan's right in the middle, and the Lower East Side is like the place where the Lansing Street, it's right next to where all the white people go to the financial district, but it's also right next to where Chinatown is, the Chinese neighborhood, the Jewish neighborhood, the projects with the white Latino. So it's like,
let's not forget about the Lansing. Let's not forget about the Lansing. Everybody knew about Levis. You came to Orchard to get your Levis. People didn't even know they were in the Lower East Side and be like, yo, nah, yo, remind me of the spot that I used to get Levis from. Yeah, that's Orchard. That's in the Lower East Side. You know what I'm saying? So, and that's
you had the Lansing Street, you had the Canal.
Right. They know the
I'm trying to know the difference.
Right. Like everybody looks at Lower East Side now, and it's all East Village.
Right.
East Village now, so it's all prissy and yuppie to them. But when we talk about the 70s and 80s, you look at a movie like New Jack City. New Jack City was the whole Ave.
Right.
That was the Ave. You know what I mean? The Ave was like that. And the Roots was like that.
They filmed
you know
Wild Style in the amphitheater. It's sort of like every time I see a movie about crack, like I see how the movie a couple years, like every time there's a movie they'll be like in the Lower East Side, and you see these little statistics, like you said, the scourge of New York, or like the highest desolated. You know what I'm saying? So, but it's funny too, and this is what I want to say. Like now that people understand that part, because for people it's like the most unknown popular part. Where if you was in New York, you definitely know the LES. But if you outside of New York, you just be like, is that Brooklyn? Is that like you don't know? But if you in New York, you understand what it means, right? So then to multiply that, because we were growing up there, it's just like how you got mattresses that kids are using as trampolines. You got like hydrants that we using as sprinklers. Like when you grow up in an environment like that as a kid, you normalize it and you have fun there. And that's one of the things that I love about how like Yazzie brought it back, because SoundMinds originated in doing shows in that neighborhood. Just the fact that we have SoundMinds in itself is a perfect example. We was finding a way to create something and have fun in the midst of this crack method area. You know what I'm saying? And that's what a salute to all young people that might listen to our music, or parents that have young people you raising. Like that's another thing we let you know. Like don't let the wicked ones trick you to think that they stole and was stealing you. Like you could be in an environment like this, and it just makes you realize that you're a creator. Because no, we weren't rich. We didn't have like all these nice things around us, but we found out a way to have fun. So like when you go through the whole Yazzie verse, but when you get to the end and he goes catch you out there on the Lansing Street like Dana Dane, it's hilarious because Dana Dane was like, many people know him as a dude that sounded like Slick Rick, you know what I mean? And one of his tracks, he literally had a track called The Lansing Street. You know what I mean? Like he goes to Lansing, he ran around to Orchard, he going through the thing, but it's funny because it's like Slick Rick where he's telling a story and it's got humor, but instead of it being like the girl went to get a slice of pizza and this and that, you know what I mean? Or like the other one where he shot the cop. These girls that try to kick it to him, they end up trying to run the dips on him. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like it's showing you like this ain't a safe place, but it's also hilarious. And that's what Yazzie bringing the track. He's bringing like the art and the flow. You know what I mean? It's a whole history of people having fun in the midst of a bad circumstance.
And not only that,
it's dangerous, but it's funny at the same time.
But the fact that, you know, one of the things I learned, man, as a writer, they always said, when you can start something off with a word or a thought, and at the end go back to that word or a thought and close it up, the fact that he started off said, y'all don't know the alphabet, but you're still talking, alphabet city killers, right? And then say, we'll catch you out, catch you out and glance at you like Dana Dane. You putting that whole first ball together with that last ball and just repping where we from based off of the fact of the heart of SoundMinds and where it came from.
And on top of that, it's a double entendre because it's like, we'll catch you out there on Delancey, whereas anybody knew, you could get robbed on Delancey easily, you know what I mean? And at the same time, it's like catch you out there on Delancey like Dana Dane, like just bringing you the vibes of, yo, I see you out there, it was good, you know what I mean? Like, New Yorkers, we say stuff like, you good? And you good? You good can mean 5 different things, you good? You know what I mean?
Yeah, to add the triple, but it's also bringing back, it's like he brought a full overview, bringing it back to hip hop itself, the essence of hip hop. Where it's like, I catch you out, like we can catch you out, like you ain't really built for this, like you, like we real spitters right here. You just really heard real spitters, you know what I'm saying? Main ones from the LES, shout out to LES, with Hartford in the building, like you feel me? It was one of those.
Lower has notoriously been slept on for years when it comes to hip hop.
And Hartford has been notorious, still to this day, slept on for hip hop.
It's like two stepbrothers stepping up to the step parents saying, yo, y'all ain't do it right. We're taking over now. You know what I'm saying? Now we're just taking over together. You know what I mean? And that's what the LA
homicide. Right. Like when folks say homicide, like people in Hartford, people in Connecticut, in the hood, like if you're in Bridgeport, New London, whatever, in the hood, you know that he's talking about Hartford. You know what I mean? Other people in Connecticut around might be like, oh, Connecticut. But as soon as he says homicide, if you know Connecticut, you know. It's just like anyone in New York, when you say LES, they know LES. Especially if they're in the hood or if they understand what's happening, they really understand LES. Like that's a crucial ingredient. You know what I'm saying?
The beauty of it is also the fact that
I want to add to that though, because one of the biggest things that I always remember when I first met, you know, Self-Suffice, like him being in Hartford, like first thing he told me was like, yo, this is like Lower East Side where I'm from. This is a smaller version of that. I feel like I'm in the Lower East. He felt like it's the same. It was like that whole vibe was like the same. He literally said that off rip, and then just telling him different stories and things of the nature. Even like telling him, you know what I mean, around the areas he around, like, right, like, you feel me, like, yo, don't go that block over there. Like it was things like that of him. You know what I mean? He was like comparison. Like I know. I
even experienced that when I first came to Hartford, coming from New York. Like a lot of people go different places from New York, and they like, oh, New York is the hood. New York is the hood. I've been in Russia and realized they got more projects in Russia than anywhere in America. Like New York and Chicago and anything. What are you talking about? Like Russia, and then I realized Russia had them projects before us. So it's like you don't realize when you're raised in a certain place, you don't realize, and then you go other places, you realize not only is it a common experience, but sometimes they might even have an experience that you thought was yours that they had before you ain't had nothing to do with you. You know what I'm saying? So it's like New York being a birthplace of hip hop itself was always very close, and Hartford was one of those channels in between New York, in between Boston and this and that on the East Coast, where you could go back to the 50s, Malcolm X being in Hartford, like a large wave of Puerto Rican people coming through, just like in New York came through to Hartford. You know what I mean? So it's a real interesting place where
all the rappers that started their careers had to travel through Hartford.
And that's what's crazy.
Wu-Tang just even mentioned that.
That's what's crazy.
Noriega just mentioned that.
If you didn't come up to Hartford,
Rick
like that's
Montana
how
just
you knew you
mentioned
was
that.
gonna break the record. If you could come up in Hartford and people they rock with you, then
It was a tri-state area. It was a tri-state. Think about this. Like even as Hartford, we knew we had the image of New York. So it was a baby New York. That was like the nickname to Hartford.
If you in Connecticut, Hartford is like
period.
Yeah.
Connecticut period.
Yeah.
You know, all the hoods in Connecticut was like a baby New York.
New London, Bridgeport, you know what I'm saying? New Haven, Gunwavin. You know
And it was said. It was spoken among us. Like, yeah, we baby New York out here. You feel me? You know what I'm saying? Like this.
But see, what's crazy that people don't realize
a little bit closer. That's it.
But see, that's what I was about to say. I didn't realize that, like, what the actual numbers was, because once I crossed that street in Hartford and found out, like, my peoples was really out here and the Stacey's was here, I was like, oh, I feel comfortable. Like, I could do my work here. Like, this is a community thing. Everything's same vibe. But then people in Hartford be going so hard for, like, just the emotion and the feeling about like being close to New York, about being in a city, about being in a hood, just like in the LES, right? When you're from the LES, you got to realize the financial district is a hop, skip, and a jump. You're talking about Wall Street. You're talking about like where the stock market is, like literal Wall Street. You're talking about like the New York the trade, the Dow Jones Stock Exchange, all that. So we looking at that and seeing poverty, and then we seeing just a few seconds away, basically. Super
the of being rich, yep.
It was very confusing to your mind, you know what I mean? And that's how it was in Hartford. Like you seeing like Yale, New Haven, like Connecticut has the Forbes list, like a lot of people on the Forbes, some of the wealthiest people right here. But then you got Hartford, you got some of the most highest poverty in America, some of the quote unquote most deadliest blocks, you know what I mean? Like if you in the hood, it's just like you know all these blocks, you know what I mean? Like people in the hood and it's the hood, but like what they say, like the popular people say this is the most deadliest block, like all these same things. And it's just aggravating because like I remember Diddy, you know what I mean? No disrespect, but I remember Diddy put out something like a year or two where he was like, some of the best artists come out of the hood. It's like we're not gonna find this artist in like Hartford or Connecticut or something like that. And everybody here was like, you too? Like you should know better. Like
clowns play on circuses.
Like,
you know what I was gonna say though. Also, what I love, man, about the truth is, right, because here it is, it's 2021 going to 2022. We put out Posse Cut. I was just watching the Wu-Tang, shout out to the Wu-Tang, the American Saga joint. And one of the things that they were talking about was protect your neck. But they were like, yo, we don't need a hook. And it's funny, I was like, yo, that's hilarious. We went with the same thought patterns without even thinking about it. You know what I mean? Yeah. But then the crazy thing was, that's what I was about to say right now.
Let's not even talk about
the crazy thing is about how new this track feels, but how much respect it shows to hip hop, even through the production of the like this, you know what I'm saying? And I was going, for the most part, let Puck talk on that. Yeah, let Puck talk on that production and why he even chose that, because he's the one that produced it. You know what I'm saying? So let's speak on that.
Yo, I appreciate that, man. Like,
wait. One other genius thing about Yazzie, but people don't know that voice like this and know the voice of Slick Rick and the voice of Dana Dane. I'm just saying, it's another Easter egg in there. So when you realize what voice is on it, and then you hear what Yazzie said, Dana Dane, yeah, he's really genius like that. All right, go ahead.
I mean, thinking it did, when I even heard the like this, to add that effect into it was like, yo, this hip hop right here, man. This is the essence of hip hop. And why am I tapping into the essence of hip hop? Me being a producer that's well rounded. You know what I mean? Like, I do trap, I do soul, I do R&B, I do, you know what I mean, spiritual, I do hardcore hip hop, I do gangster hip hop. You feel me? I'm well rounded in all genres of hip hop.
Right.
My brothers, who are my big brothers at that. You feel me? Who I know that represent hip hop a good 6 to 8 years before me, you know what I mean? Good plus years before me. Like, where I look at it like, yo, that was the essence of hip hop. Like, yeah, that I tap into and I resonate with, but now I have somebody to do that. I got some with. So my brother said, produce a beat, you know what I mean, that we could jump on. You know what I mean? And boom, it was literally tapping into the essence of hip hop, man. Bringing that tempo back down from, take it out of the 140s and the 130s and the 120s and bring it back down to that 90, that 95, that 88, you know what I'm saying? Tempo, you know what I'm saying? So I tapped in, man, and really, it was just a home in for us to, once again, like you said, no need for a hook. For us to be able to spit a cipher, I had the vision, for us to spit a cipher. You feel me? Even when I said this is a beat for us to just spit on, my brother, Lightskin, made a hook anyways. Like,
and then no need for a hook.
But he made a hook based off of the concept that I said that we don't need the hook.
Right.
Which was banana. He made the hook anyway based off of the concept. Crazy. You know what I'm saying? Yes. So, which then turned into a bigger concept when it went from us three to the added AK to the Yazzies. It was like a whole SoundMinds cipher. It was like, yeah, there we go. Guess what, y'all? There really is no need for a hook. There's no need. Guess what? Did we or did we not have arguments about where to put the hook back in? No need for the hook. There's no breakdown back here. And then,
the beat is like a beat where you could listen to it over and over. Like, I'm gonna be real with you. At first, the beat was like, okay, this is a cool beat, like a skeleton beat, this and that. Then the more I listened to it, I was like, oh my god. First of all, the beat. All right, so you see how it has a tribute to like hip hop, old school feel to it, and at the same time, it sounds futuristic. So that's the first thing that's crazy to me. It's not like he just created an old school beat. He put an essence of an old school style and a futuristic sound to it at the same time. So now you're like,
I did need that during the bump, right? You heard me?
Like with the drums, the style, and the cadence of it. But then it's not overdone at the same time. So you got those different elements, but it's allowing you to do different lyrical styles. Like a perfect example is not to call anyone else out again, but like sometimes if you got rappers that just have like a real simple flow, the beat has to have mad horns, crazy samples, circus clowns, lions jumping around, all these things. You know what I mean? Because the rapper's just like, I am rapping, I got a gun, I get money. So the beat got to be like, oh, when you got dudes spitting, you have to somehow have like enough where it keeps going, but you could allow the, you get what I'm saying? So it got an old school feel, it got a futuristic style, but it lets the MCs breathe to the point where when you listen over it, you never get annoyed. So now every time I listen to it, I could just, like sometimes I just put it on repeat, but like I just listen to it for like 10 minutes, 15 minutes straight. You know what I mean? It feels like a cypher, like you were saying that feel of cypher. It feels, because it's only like that one time, like saying no need for hook. Like I'll forget where it started and stopped. You know what I mean? Because it just sounds good. It sounds like dudes could just rap on it forever.
And the crazy, you know, the wild thing about it is, as dope as the beat is, it allows for each MC to be heard. You know what I'm saying? Like the lyrics nor the production bleeds into it to themselves, where it overtakes what's going on. So it was just a beautiful connection of all things, and even right down to the art. Shout out to my brother John Man Beach from the Lower East Side as well. He did the art for it, you know what I'm saying? And the whole thought process, I let him hear the track so that he could get some inspiration. He just thought planets. He just thought, I just told him, yo, no need, and put a hook, you know what I'm saying? And he just thought about planets in the constellation, which he, you know, he listens from time to time to Sam on podcast, but he ain't even hear like my brother, you know, Kahim always talking about the constellation. So, you know what I'm saying? So the way he put that together, like, oh yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy.
There was no reason for him to do that.
Right.
Just like all how these verses came together, no one told him to do that.
Right.
You said that on every episode.
Yeah, so, you know, so for the most part, it's like he took the track, got his vibe right, and it's still connected with who SoundMinds is anyway. You know what I mean? So, and then on top of that, like the color schemes and all that, all I told him was, yo, I want the words no need and a hook pulling. So what you see on the art is a hook being kind of like pushed out and just being said, we don't need a hook. That's how ill we are. You know what I mean? So when you hear the track, it makes more sense when you look at the art as well. You know what I mean? So everything connected. You know, so shout out to my brother John, man. Art by JD Squared. He, the name of his art company is JD Squared. He's doing, we got an announcement too, we about to make too. But the whole no need concept really was based off of his inspiration of hearing the track and feeling planets. Like everybody has their own space in the galaxy that we own.
Like I gotta say, like if you have a constellation, it's all these stars and they make the shape. But the way the track was, like we said this before earlier, if you wasn't seeing the beginning of this cast, we all had different styles. That's one of the crazy things about this track. So it was perfect how he made, like, someone was a comet, someone was a star, someone was a planet. In other words, he gave us each a different shape, even though we're all shining together. He's saying like we're different parts of the cosmos shining together.
Right. Yep.
We're not just, you know what I mean? And I still like the concept of stars in the constellation, but he went that much further. You get what I'm saying? Just to really make sure you know, like, we don't have to be exactly the same to shine together.
Exactly.
I love that so much.
Yeah, no, it was dope, man. It was dope. Yo, so we gonna wrap it up, man. Our brother Yazid is good. He's just a little busy right now. But you know, for the most part, man, go hear that track, man. Go tell your friends about it. Thank y'all, everybody who's still on the live. Thank y'all for joining us on the live. You know, for the most part, SoundMinds is moving.
On YouTube too.
Yeah, we definitely gonna try to put it up on YouTube so y'all can see that and the playback value. Just tell everybody to go and keep on watching it. The big announcement is, so as we talking about the artists and all that, just letting y'all know, December to January 1st, either Christmas or January 1st, we're either taking over the new year or the end of the year. We're dropping another track called Thought Provokers, which is on a whole different level. It's a different sound, but it's definitely still empowering, enlightening, and as lyrical as you hear us on this, you're going to still hear the same lyrics. This is more so going to be more to touch upon some of the things that we don't see in people trying to provoke thoughts and create more leaders. So that'll be dropping 2021, 2022, more so probably the week of Christmas, but we might just do New Year's and just drop it for that and take over 2022 on the right note. You know what I mean? So for all of y'all that are waiting on that, the art is going to be sick. Everything is going to be crazy, man. You know what I mean? And that's going to be the three of us. It's going to be my man Pup definitely killing that hook crazy. You know what I'm saying? And there's entendres in that. And as you see that we're doing this with no need, we will be doing this for Thought Provokers as well. So we will be breaking down certain lines and the reasons behind things. My man Self killed that first verse, and then I got on the second verse, and it's just beautiful art, man.
You hear the beat.
Yeah, beat is crazy. When I tell you, you're gonna hear angelic. You're gonna hear a whole different sound of, yo, this is not a track. This is a song straight out of any powerful book that you read.
But make sure that you quote this.
Hey,
SoundMinds in general with the
world on notice.
Yeah, godly, the rest of y'all slide.
You know what I'm saying?
Like this track, no need. It's an actual historical time stone. That's why Adam and Eve, Genesis, hold on to your inner tube. You know what I mean? Like
my brother Pup talking about when we stand together, we all the army. You know what I'm saying? Like it's deeper than just lyrics, y'all. It's deeper than just
buy
lyrics.
your subscription, buy your Spotify, your Apple, whatever you need to do. Like from now on, we putting out music for you to listen to. If you didn't have a subscription to listen to music yet, now is your cue. That's basically what we're telling you in this track. Like we sat back, and if you listen to our podcast, we got mad episodes of the SoundMinds podcast. Before, like just doing shows and doing things in our community, we took like a year to just do podcasts and just talk about culture with a lot of great cultural creators. You know what I mean? Some of y'all on this, salute to y'all. You know what I mean? Just to let y'all know, like, okay, this is how much we respect the craft of other people. And then at the same time, we're like, oh, okay, like I said with the energy of light on this track, he raised his energy more now to the point where it's like, okay, now I still, it seems like y'all still didn't understand that we really do this too. Like, I'm not just a host for MCs and doing positive things. And sometimes you gotta let people know how you get down so they can really respect the platform that you're holding for other people. And like when you check people, they know who's checking. You know what I mean? Like when we check people, we check you with love. Like, yo, you could do better, bro. Like this is a gift that came back from the Jollies and the Griots. Shout out, like I just got the honors. My brothers were shouting me out that I became the Hartford Troubadour. The Hartford Troubadour, really to me, it means that I've been recognized as being a griot. A griot is a professional MC that was tasked with like saying things that mean something. When they perform for people, they know it's men, women, and children affecting the community. They're recording histories. They're recording a certain interpretation. You know what I mean? So that's what I feel is the junction we're at right now with this track. We let you know, like, yo, we actually here to show you, like, we love y'all. You know what I mean? But it's not like because we love other people, we don't do it too. Like, we do this too. And sometimes we step back just to let other people, you know what I mean? Like, do their thing more and not take a spotlight. But right now, we're about to come with you. So collaborate with us, whatever you want to do, because, like, we're not ever stopping now. It's like Wu-Tang, it's like anybody, like Jay-Z. I don't know what age or what limit you would put them on, but they're going to surpass that. That's SoundMinds. Like, it's over for the beginning phase right now. It's over. So
I'm glad you said that too, because it definitely is phasing in. We did focus on the podcast. The podcast is not done. We focused on that now. We're focusing on a different chamber, a different chapter of what SoundMinds is, right? But at the same time, very much like my brother is saying, we're very much like the Warriors. We went up there to the Bronx. We listening to other people and all that. We all about peace against everybody else. But trust the rest of the show, the swords are swinging. You know what I mean? And it's really about, let's build together. Let's construct. It's never going. We don't, as I said before, man, as the show does. We don't have to sit there and worry about nobody else. And there's no disrespect to nobody else that I'm saying. I'm saying we're comfortable in our own skin to know what everybody else is doing and know what our art form is and what we master. And at the same time, sit there and say, like I said, man, this is just a warning shot. SoundMinds, I don't care who you think is hot. Clash for all. Make sure you quote this acting like the gentleman put the world on notice. You know what I'm saying? So, with all that being said, SoundMinds, brothers, and, you're going to keep on hearing heat from us and you're going to keep on hearing different things, man. My brother, acolyte, I call him Acco. It's still, the AK, all known is acolytes. We both acolytes, so you're going to hear something from us. My brother, for the most part, Pump is out there doing big things in Connecticut. Self-Suffice is doing big things in Connecticut. So when you think about that whole, that mentality of coming together and we becoming a powerful force, it's a scary thing, but it's for a good reason. You know what I mean? So the empowerment, everything that we do is always going to be to empower and enlighten. You will never see none of us play each other and jump on something that's going to hurt all people. So trust the rest assured, this right here is just a warning shot.
If you're in Hartford, if you're in LES, if you're in any overlooked place, like this is dedicated to y'all.
Straight up.
Yo, I like that I learned so much about AK's verse today that for him to really put in all of the superheroes that he put in, but understand that it's an end game and it's an Avengers. It's an Avengers that bring this end game to it, right? Oh, come on now. The Avengers bring this end game. SoundMinds together. SoundMinds together is those Avengers.
Oh, imagine we could build the world. Get to that later. We gonna get to some other things too.
That's another one.
It's not just gonna be on your audio streaming platforms, but we'll get to that later.
Yep. And we really gonna get to what we building. So I really want people to lock in with us. Look out for our new links that we're gonna be coming out with, so people can subscribe to, because we're gonna build a SoundMinds community. In this new web age that we are moving into, which we are moving out of Web 2.0 into Web 3.0, we have to really learn how to build communities with like-minded people, individuals, and on top of that, people like, just everybody that we mess with. If you mess with SoundMinds and you are SoundMinds yourself, you represent SoundMinds yourself, then and you stand for everything SoundMinds be about, then guess what? You should be locked into the SoundMinds community in any way, shape, or form. So we're gonna be locking in and building a community, because what we need to do is be able to bring SoundMinds together under this atmosphere where we see our people. Yo, we know who watching, we know who with us, we know who vibing with us, and guess what? We also know who the message. First things first. When SoundMinds do what they do, you hear me? When we got a concert,
there's so many people supposedly. It's just a lot of people that can follow and like and this and that. But it's good for us to know. Like, I first of all, we shout out Lucy first and foremost. You know what I mean? Like, she's actually a real one that we can engage with and rock with and check with.
Definitely so, man. And I think, and SoundMinds community really is based off of, you don't have to be on the track with us. You don't have to be on our podcast. You don't have to be on every single episode and liking every single thing we do. You are SoundMinded, right? And if you want to build, we're here to build. You know what I mean? In any way, shape, or form. So if it's about that positive and the empowering of all people and doing what we do, then we all in. You know what I'm saying? We ain't going to sit there and try to show nobody.
Right. Definitely shout out to that. It's not a noun.
Hell yeah.
A lot of y'all doing SoundMinds things. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
So
right. And that's going to be the atmosphere of people who just know that we're doing SoundMinds things. To tap in with the SoundMinds community, because that's just the vibe. Mm-hmm. And just be on the lookout, family. SoundMinds is not only just a brand, it's not only just the Avengers of 5 artists times 5, because there's definitely a lot of artists that just didn't get on that track. Like it's like a Wu-Tang time community times everything. We doing what we got to do to really level up in this new age that we are moving into of doing podcasts, music, videos, media, so things of that nature. So just tap in and make sure you just stay on the lookout for what we got coming.
Right.
It's not always going to be Instagram, but it's always going to be us.
Yeah, at all times, man. We doing everything and tapping into everything, and we're going to do the same thing all the time. Energy's always going to be the same, no matter whether we in this world, you know what I'm saying, or virtual, or if we go to past life, we're going to be SoundMinds regardless. You know what I'm saying? So with that being said, y'all share this out, let your people know. We're going to try to get this on YouTube as well. Look out for the next announcement of the date of when we dropping the next joint. Remember,
let's get this song to like at least like 5,000 plays. You know what I mean?
Why not?
Shout out to Tank Sauce and Clockwise, close, SoundMinds family. We got a track right now called Cold and Crazy. we went to get like 2,000 plays. It's now over 6,000 plays right now in probably a month. This one right now, we're going for our first 1,000 on No Need. So please show us that same love. Like, you know what I mean? All our tracks should have like, and I'm grateful because most tracks on Spotify and everything don't even have like 100 plays, much less 500. But like, this is us. This is us. Like, let's try to get a few thousand on every track. Like, let's really spread this word out and make the algorithm start playing more people. You know what I mean? Balance out the music a little bit.
Let's go. That being said, yo, SoundMinds, yo. SoundMinds.